Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to address a topic that requires deep discernment and spiritual awareness. The word witch is often misunderstood. When we speak of a witch in this context, we're not simply referring to someone casting spells or wearing a pointy hat. No, I am talking about individuals operating in manipulation, control, and the spirit of rebellion, things that work to bind, distract, and derail your purpose. Emotional manipulation is one of the most deceptive and subtle tactics that someone operating in a spirit of control can use. It often goes unnoticed because it hides behind the guise of care, concern, or even love. However, at its core, emotional manipulation is about controlling someone else's behavior or decisions by exploiting their feelings. It doesn't always come in overt or aggressive forms. In fact, its effectiveness often lies in its subtlety. A person using emotional manipulation can make you feel responsible for their happiness, well-being, or even their success. They will craft scenarios where you feel guilty for putting yourself first or setting boundaries, even when doing so is necessary for your own mental and emotional health. Eventually, they will start to add. This manipulation can look like constant guilt tripping. For example, they might say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." Or, "I guess I just don't matter to you." These statements are carefully designed to make you question yourself and feel obligated to prioritize their needs over your own. They frame themselves as the victim, which forces you into the role of the rescuer. Over time, this dynamic becomes a cycle, one that is difficult to break free from, because they've conditioned you to feel responsible for their emotions and outcomes. You may find yourself constantly trying to avoid upsetting them, or going out of your way to ensure their approval, even at great personal cost. Another tactic often used is playing on your compassion. Manipulators are skilled at identifying your emotional triggers, and they use them to their advantage. They might share exaggerated or selective details about their struggles, emphasizing how much they need your help and how no one else seems to care about them the way you do. They make you feel as though you are their only hope, trapping you in a relationship dynamic where you constantly pour into them but receive little to no reciprocity. Their goal is not mutual growth or partnership. It is control, achieved through your feelings of pity and obligation. Fear is another common tool in emotional manipulation. They create a sense of anxiety or unease, often through passive-aggressive comments or indirect threats. For instance, they might imply that something bad will happen if you don't comply with their wishes, even if they don't explicitly say so. They might suggest that your relationship with them is fragile and contingent upon you meeting their expectations, making you feel as though any act of independence could lead to a fallout. This keeps you in a state of uncertainty, constantly trying to appease them to avoid conflict or rejection. Flattery and charm can also play a role in emotional manipulation. These individuals may alternate between showering you with praise and withdrawing it to keep you off balance. When they want something from you, they might lavish you with compliments or make you feel special, but once they have what they need, their demeanor can shift dramatically. This inconsistency creates confusion, making you question your own perceptions and instincts. You might find yourself working harder to regain their approval, which is exactly what they want. What makes emotional manipulation particularly dangerous is that it often preys on good intentions. Most people want to be kind, helpful, and understanding, and manipulators exploit these traits to their advantage. They rely on your empathy to overlook their behavior and your desire for peace to avoid confronting them. Over time, this can leave you feeling drained, confused, and even resentful, but unable to pinpoint exactly why. Emotional manipulators are masters at making their actions seem justified and making you feel as though any discomfort you experience is your fault. The key to recognizing emotional manipulation is to pay attention to patterns, not isolated incidents. One instance of guilt tripping or a single emotional outburst does not necessarily mean someone is manipulative. However, when these behaviors form a consistent pattern, it becomes clear that their goal is not healthy interaction, but control. Manipulation thrives in silence and ignorance. So the first step in breaking free is awareness. Recognizing these behaviors allows you to take back your power and reestablish healthy boundaries. When someone in your life discourages your purpose and dreams, it is one of the most damaging forms of influence you can encounter. Your purpose is tied to your identity, your destiny, and the unique contributions you were designed to bring into the world. When someone actively works to undermine that purpose, whether overtly or subtly, they are not just harming your confidence, they are interfering with your ability to fulfill your calling. Discouragement often masquerades as practicality, concern, or even advice, which makes it difficult to identify at first. However, beneath the surface, the intent is to keep you from growing, progressing, and stepping into the fullness of what you were created to do. One of the ways this discouragement manifests is through subtle doubt. When you share your goals, they may respond with phrases like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Or, "That sounds risky. Maybe you should try something more realistic." On the surface, these statements might appear harmless, even caring. However, they plant seeds of uncertainty in your mind. Over time, you may begin to second-guess your own abilities and vision. Instead of moving forward with confidence, you find yourself stuck, weighed down by the opinions and doubts of someone who claims to have your best interests at heart. Another tactic often used by those who discourage your dreams is criticism disguised as advice. They may point out every flaw or potential obstacle in your plan, emphasizing what could go wrong rather than what could go right. While constructive criticism can be helpful when delivered with the intent to support and improve, this type of criticism is different. It is not meant to build you up, but to tear you down. These individuals rarely offer solutions or encouragement. Instead, they focus on highlighting why your goals are unattainable or unrealistic. Over time, their constant negativity can erode your motivation and make you feel as though pursuing your dreams is futile. Envy often plays a significant role in this type of behavior. People who discourage your dreams may do so because your aspirations shine a light on their own unfulfilled potential. Your courage to dream big and take risks can make them feel insecure about their own lack of ambition or progress. Instead of celebrating your vision, they respond with jealousy, masked as concern or disapproval. They may downplay your accomplishments or act as though your dreams are insignificant, all in an effort to make themselves feel better. This dynamic can be particularly painful when it comes from someone close to you, such as a friend, family member, or partner, because their approval often carries significant emotional weight. In some cases, this discouragement is not subtle, but outright opposition. They may actively speak against your dreams, telling you that you will fail or that you are not capable. This can take the form of harsh words, ridicule, or even sabotage. They may try to convince others to see your dreams as foolish, creating an environment where you feel isolated and unsupported. This kind of open opposition can be incredibly disheartening, especially if it comes from someone you expected to be in your corner. Their words and actions can make you feel as though you are alone in your pursuit, further amplifying feelings of doubt and fear. Even more insidious is the way some people disguise their discouragement as love. They may say things like, "I just don't want to see you get hurt," or "I'm only saying this because I care about you." While these words may sound kind, they are often rooted in fear rather than faith. Their concern is not about your well-being, but about their own discomfort with the changes your growth might bring. How do you respond to people who they may fear losing their place in your life if you succeed, or worry that your success will highlight their own shortcomings? By framing their discouragement as love, they make it harder for you to challenge their behavior without feeling ungrateful or disrespectful. This type of discouragement is not always obvious, because it often comes from people who are close to us, people we trust and value. When someone you care about expresses doubt in your dreams, it can cause you to internalize their negativity. You may start to question whether you are being unrealistic or selfish for pursuing your goals. Over time, this can create a cycle of self-doubt and hesitation, keeping you from taking the necessary steps to move forward. The longer you remain in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free and reclaim your confidence. To recognize this behavior, it is important to evaluate the patterns of interaction you have with this person. Do they encourage you to dream bigger, or do they consistently find reasons to diminish your aspirations? Do they celebrate your wins, or do they downplay your progress? Identifying these patterns can help you understand whether their influence is helping you grow or holding you back. When someone in your life thrives on creating division and chaos, their presence becomes a constant source of disruption. These individuals are often skilled at stirring up strife and confusion, intentionally or unintentionally, and they seem to feed on the turmoil they create. Their actions often go beyond simple disagreements or misunderstandings. They introduce toxicity into relationships and environments. Instead of fostering unity and harmony, they divide people, causing rifts that lead to tension, mistrust, and even hostility. This behavior is particularly dangerous because it disrupts the peace and stability that are necessary for personal and collective growth. One way they create division is by spreading gossip and rumors. These individuals thrive on the power they feel from sharing private or distorted information, knowing that their words will create friction between people. They may frame their gossip as concern or harmless chatter, but their true intent is to sow discord. By sharing half-truths or outright lies, they plant seeds of doubt and suspicion in others, effectively turning people against one another. This tactic often works because gossip appeals to insecurities and fears, making it easier for divisions to take root. Over time, relationships that were once strong can crumble under the weight of mistrust and misunderstanding. Another tactic they use is playing both sides in a conflict. They position themselves as the confidant for multiple parties, gaining trust from everyone involved. Then, they subtly manipulate the narrative to escalate tensions, all while appearing neutral or even helpful. This gives them a sense of control over the situation, as they can influence how each party perceives the other. Their goal is not resolution, but prolonged discord, as this ensures their continued relevance in the situation. People who thrive on division often fear being excluded or losing control, so they perpetuate conflict to maintain their influence. These individuals also have a way of magnifying small issues into major problems. What could be a minor disagreement or misunderstanding becomes a full-blown conflict under their influence. They focus on highlighting differences rather than commonalities, emphasizing the negative aspects of a situation to fuel resentment. Their words and actions create an atmosphere where collaboration and compromise seem impossible. Instead of seeking solutions, they encourage people to dwell on grievances, deepening the divide. This behavior can be especially damaging in group settings, such as families, workplaces, or communities, where unity is crucial for success. Gratitude is the foundation of greatness and happiness, the highest form of manifestation of America's miracle token. Another hallmark of those who thrive on division is their inability to take responsibility for their actions. They deflect blame and often position themselves as the victim, even when they are the ones causing harm. By doing so, they shift attention away from their role in the chaos and onto others, further complicating the situation. Their unwillingness to acknowledge their behavior makes it difficult to address the root of the problem, leaving others to deal with the fallout. This lack of accountability creates a cycle where issues remain unresolved and tensions continue to escalate. These individuals also tend to isolate people from one another, creating an environment where open communication becomes rare or impossible. They may encourage secrecy or discourage direct conversations, ensuring that misunderstandings persist. This isolation weakens relationships as people begin to rely on the divisive individual for information rather than engaging with each other directly. Over time, this dynamic erodes trust and creates an environment where everyone is on edge, unsure who they can rely on. What makes their behavior particularly harmful is the way it undermines progress and growth. Division and chaos drain emotional energy leaving people feeling exhausted and demoralized. In an environment of constant conflict, it becomes difficult to focus on personal goals or collective objectives. Instead of building something meaningful, energy is wasted on addressing the fallout from unnecessary drama. This stagnation benefits the divisive individual, as it ensures their continued control and relevance. But it comes at a great cost to everyone else involved. Recognizing this behavior requires paying attention to patterns. Are conflicts and misunderstandings unusually frequent when this person is involved? Do they seem to always have a hand in stirring up trouble, even if they present themselves as innocent? Do they consistently shift blame or avoid accountability? By identifying these patterns, it becomes easier to see how their actions contribute to division and chaos, allowing you to take steps to protect your peace and well-being. When someone seeks to become the center of your life, their actions often go beyond normal relationship dynamics and shift into a space where they demand an unhealthy level of control and loyalty. These individuals have a way of positioning themselves as indispensable, creating an environment where you feel as though you cannot make decisions or function without their input or approval. This behavior is not rooted in love or mutual respect. It is driven by a desire to dominate and control. By elevating themselves to the highest priority in your life, they aim to replace what should be reserved for God, your purpose, or healthy, balanced relationships. One of the most common ways this manifests is through possessiveness. They may express jealousy or frustration when you spend time with others, or invest energy into activities that don't directly involve them. They may make comments that suggest your attention should always be on them, such as, "I thought I was the most important person in your life," or "You never have time for me anymore." While this might initially appear as a sign of affection or care, it is often a subtle way of controlling your priorities and isolating you from other relationships or responsibilities. Their goal is to ensure that your time, energy, and focus are centered on them, making it difficult for you to maintain a healthy balance in your life. Another tactic they use is creating a sense of dependence. They may encourage you to rely on them for advice, validation, or decision-making, subtly undermining your confidence in your ability to navigate life on your own. Over time, you may start to feel as though you need their input or approval before taking any action, no matter how small. This dynamic places them in a position of authority over your life, allowing them to exert control over your choices and direction. By fostering this dependence, they make themselves feel powerful and indispensable, ensuring that you continue to prioritize them above everything else. Now, they also tend to manipulate your emotions to maintain their position at the center of your life. For example, they may use guilt to make you feel responsible for their happiness or well-being. Statements like, "I don't know what I would do without you," or "You're the only one who understands me," are designed to make you feel obligated to meet their needs, even at the expense of your own. This emotional manipulation creates an unbalanced dynamic where you are constantly giving while they are always taking. It becomes increasingly difficult to set boundaries because their reactions to any perceived slight or neglect are often exaggerated, making you feel as though you've done something wrong even when you haven't. At times, you may not be able to tell whether you've done something wrong even when you haven't. In some cases, they will go as far as to subtly discredit or diminish the importance of other people or commitments in your life. They may criticize your friends, family, or mentors, suggesting that those individuals don't truly care about you or have your best interests at heart. By doing this, they attempt to weaken your connections with others, ensuring that their influence remains dominant. This can create an environment of isolation, where you feel as though the person demanding your loyalty is the only one you can trust or depend on. Once they've established this level of control, they are able to manipulate your decisions and priorities with little resistance. These individuals also have a way of making their needs and desires seem more urgent or important than anything else in your life. They might insist that their problems require your immediate attention, even when you are dealing with significant challenges of your own. This creates a dynamic where their issues consistently take precedence, leaving little room for your own growth, rest, or self-care. Over time, this can lead to burnout, as you find yourself constantly putting their needs above your own, with little to no reciprocation. What makes this behavior particularly dangerous is that it often happens gradually. At first, their demands for your attention and loyalty may seem reasonable or even flattering. They might frame their behavior as a reflection of how much they care about you or how important you are to them. However, as time goes on, their expectations increase, and the dynamic becomes increasingly one-sided. You may start to notice that your own needs, goals, and relationships are being neglected. But addressing the issue can feel challenging because of the emotional hold they have over you. By the time you recognize the extent of their influence, they may have already positioned themselves as the central figure in your life, making it difficult to reestablish balance and autonomy. When someone consistently drains your energy and leaves you feeling spiritually and emotionally depleted, it is often a sign that their presence in your life is not healthy. Relationships are meant to be a source of mutual support, encouragement, and growth, but there are people who seem to do the opposite. They take and take without ever giving back, creating an unbalanced dynamic where you are left feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, and even disconnected from yourself. Everyone is left feeling exhausted, unfulfilled, and even disconnected from yourself. These individuals often act in ways that demand your constant attention and energy, without regard for how it impacts your well-being. Over time, their influence can become toxic, affecting not only your emotional state, but also your spiritual and mental health. One way this behavior manifests is through their constant neediness. They may rely on you for emotional support, advice, or even basic decision-making to an excessive degree. While it is natural to support loved ones during difficult times, these individuals turn this into a pattern where they always seem to have a crisis that requires your attention. They make you feel as though it is your responsibility to solve their problems or to carry their emotional burdens. This dynamic leaves little room for you to focus on your own needs or challenges, because their demands are relentless. Even when you try to set boundaries, they may react with guilt, anger, or manipulation, making it even harder to create the space you need. Another way they drain your energy is through their negativity. These individuals often carry a cloud of pessimism, always focusing on what is wrong in their lives or the world around them. They may complain constantly, criticize others, or dwell on problems without ever seeking solutions. Being around this kind of energy can feel heavy and overwhelming as it begins to seep into your own perspective and emotions. You may find yourself feeling discouraged or hopeless after spending time with them, even if you were in a good place beforehand. Their negativity acts like a weight, pulling you down emotionally and spiritually, and making it harder for you to maintain your own peace and positivity. Manipulation is another tool they use to drain you. They may play on your empathy and kindness, knowing that you have a compassionate heart and a desire to help others. By exaggerating their struggles or framing their needs as urgent and unique, they ensure that you prioritize them over everything else. They might say things like, "No one else understands me the way you do," or "I don't know what I'd do without you," making you feel indispensable. While this might seem flattering at first, it ultimately becomes a trap where you feel obligated to constantly pour into them, even when you have nothing left to give. Over time, this dynamic can leave you feeling resentful, drained, and taken advantage of. They may also create drama or chaos in your life, which requires you to invest emotional energy to manage or resolve. Whether it's conflicts with others, personal crises, or situations that they could easily handle themselves, they somehow always seem to bring turmoil into your space. This constant state of drama keeps you on edge, as you are forced to navigate their issues and emotions on top of your own. Instead of being a source of peace and stability, their presence becomes a source of stress and distraction, making it difficult for you to focus on your goals, relationships, or spiritual growth. Another characteristic of these individuals is their lack of reciprocity. In healthy relationships, there is a natural flow of giving and receiving, where both parties contribute to each other's well-being. However, people who drain your energy often take without giving anything in return. When you need support, encouragement, or understanding, they may be unavailable, dismissive, or even critical. And this imbalance creates a one-sided relationship where you are constantly pouring out while receiving little to nothing back. Over time, this can lead to feelings of emptiness and frustration as you realize that the relationship is not serving you in a meaningful or positive way. What makes this behavior particularly harmful is that it often goes unnoticed until the effects are deeply felt. At first, you may not realize how much energy you are investing in this person, or how little you are receiving in return. They may seem like they genuinely need your help or support, which can make it difficult to recognize the imbalance. However, as time goes on, the signs become clearer. You start to feel more drained, less joyful, and disconnected from your sense of purpose or peace. You may notice that other areas of your life, such as your relationships, career, or spiritual journey, are suffering because so much of your time and energy is being consumed by this person. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward protecting your energy and creating space for relationships that nurture and uplift you.